What's the haps? I'm Meroka, and today I'm going to be taking an early look at Project Nimbus. This is a mech game, as you can probably see from the rows and rows of mechs in the background, which I feel kind of gives the game away, just a little bit. This is a game by GameCrafterTeam. It was funded on Kickstarter and will be out on Steam Early Access later this week. I'm not well versed in the mech genre, if I'm honest. It's not something I've ever played a whole heck of a lot of, so quite frankly, firstly I'm not going to be very good at it, and secondly I haven't got a lot of frame of reference to compare it to anything else. It's not that mechs don't particularly appeal to me. I mean, they're pretty cool, but I don't know, it's not a genre I've ever particularly delved into, so I guess that's where I'm coming from. We've got in the options menu we have resolution options, and graphics is between very low and graphic card melt, which is cute, I'll give it that, but not terribly helpful. Doesn't really tell me what it does. I've no idea what the difference between very high and graphic card melt is. I've no idea what changes to expect to appear in the game. Admittedly, it does change it in real time in the background, so you can kind of get a visual clue as to what's going on, but it'd be nice to have some actual specifics and some specific control over things. Audio, we have music, voice and sound effects on separate sliders, cool, always good to see. Voice language is English or Thai, which is, I guess the team is based in Thailand, so those are the two primary languages they're going to be working with. There are no control options. I cannot rebind the controls, and you cannot adjust the mouse sensitivity. Both of these would be nice to do. I'm not 100% sold on the control scheme, to be honest, and my mouse sensitivity by default is ridiculously high, so it'd be nice to be able to turn that down. I mean, admittedly, I'm using a gaming mouse, so I do have the power to do that, but it'd be nice to be able to do that in-game as well, rather than having to fiddle with actual driver settings and whatnot. So go back to the main menu. We can hop on into a game. We can choose from campaign or survival, are two modes in the game at present. I believe there's plans to add a couple more in the future. Campaign presently in the early access build has one act, which is a tutorial, and 7 missions. At launch they're planning to have 4 acts comprising about 27 missions. The mech in the background, just as a side note, that one just doesn't look as good as the rest of them. Everything else looks pretty nice in the game, and then you've got this one purple mech, which just looks really low resolution. I don't know whether that's placeholder stuff or what. I hope that's going to be improved in the future, because honestly, that one makes everything else look bad. Everything else looks pretty good. See, all these brown mechs, they look pretty nice. And then you got that one purple mech that's super low resolution. I don't know what the deal is with that one. I mean, admittedly, maybe that's a minor point, given that considering what the nature of the game is, you're going to be flying around through the stratosphere at ridiculously high speed, shooting other mechs that are merely going to be mere dots on the horizon. You're never really going to get to see many of them terribly often, so maybe it's a minor point that I should probably not make a big deal out of. But nonetheless, when it's kind of part of the title screen, it's like, hey, this is what the game looks like. It'd be nice if it didn't look quite so poor, to be honest, because everything else in this hangar actually looks pretty nice. Everything looks good. It's just that one purple one letting the side down. In game modes, going back to that, we also have survival mode, which is exactly what you'd expect from a survival mode. It is waves and waves of enemies, and you need to survive as long as you possibly can. We'll take a look at the campaign. So that is the main core of the game. We've got, as I say, we've got 7 missions, and being Act 1, it kind of eases you into the game. And then for some reason, the difficulty curve in this game is not so much a curve as it is a difficulty wall, basically. You got 5 missions that are all fairly okay, and then missions 6 and 7 are just... Mission 6 took me a whole bunch of attempts to complete, and Mission 7 I have not completed because they're ridiculously difficult. It just ramps up really, really fast. There are a few difficulty options. If I go into, let's say, that one, we've got 3 options. We've got Casual, Gamer Recommended, and Prepare to Die. And I've been playing on Gamer Recommended, so maybe I should drop it down to Casual. Maybe I'm a filthy casual, who knows. But there you go. So I will go into Gamer Recommended, and we'll have a bit of cutscene that I'm totally going to skip over. So I've got a bit of exposition there. But honestly, I've not really paid a whole heck of a lot of attention to it. It's a fairly forgettable story, all things considered. So we got a flooded city with a bunch of stuff in it that needs destroying. I can move around WSD. Ascend and descend is E and C, which I'm not totally happy with. I don't particularly like those controls, but I can't rebind them, so I guess I'm stuck with them. I have 6 weapons at my disposal, and a bit of a boost. Boost is on space, so I can boost around, move fairly quickly. Booster is on the left-hand side, so you can see that being used. It recharges pretty quick. The weapons are in the bottom right-hand corner. We've got a chain gun, we've got some micro-missiles, we've got a railgun, and I've got some other special things that take a little while to recharge, so I won't use them right now. We've got smart missiles, which just home in on a bunch of stuff. Actually, there's stuff coming my way, so let's do that. There's a smart missile, that's just going to basically, that's going to split up and home in on whatever it can find to home in on, to be honest. We've got funnel, is basically some little drones that are going to fly around. There's these little blue X's mark where they are. They're almost too small to see. In fact, I'm not even sure. I am dubious as to whether there is a model. Even if you get up fairly close to them, you still can't see the damn things. So, it's like, have they just cut corners and not made a model for the drones? It seems like that could be a thing. I don't know. But maybe that's just me being cynical. But yeah, they're tiny, tiny little drones. They will home in on anything. As you can see, they're doing the job for me there. They will home in on anything you target and fight them for you. So if I home in on that, all the little funnels, can set some more out as well. You can get quite a few of them going as well. You can, as long as they don't get shot down by anything, and they only really tend to get shot down by like boss type stuff. They will generally make a mess of anything you want them to make a mess of, all things considered, really. See, there you go. I really don't need to fight particularly much. There is a mission that actually asks you to do this, just fight using the, asks you to fight using just the funnels, and it's like, it's really powerful, surprisingly powerful, honestly. And then also on 6 there's some dummy decoys, which is mostly used for diverting missile attacks. But since there's nothing attacking with missiles, it's not terribly necessary. Also got F is flares. That's on about a 10-second cooldown, which again deflects missiles. Does exactly what you'd expect them to. So there's that as well. So those are your main toys that you're going to be playing with. You're going to fly around and you're going to defeat waves and waves of enemies, which is exactly what you'd expect from a mech game, I think. Like I say, I'm not well versed in it, but it just seems like, yeah. Just go around, shoot lots of things, and don't get yourself killed. These funnels are ridiculous. They're just messing up everything. There you go. Performance in this game is generally fairly solid for me, even on a graphics card melt. I'm getting, while recording here, I'm getting about 40 frames per second. Obviously, it'd be higher when I'm not recording. There are a few notable frame rate dips, mind you, and they do seem to predominantly coincide with major attacks from like boss type characters, any really big heavy end of level enemies. Although occasionally when they do a big attack, it's like that seems to cause some issues with the frame rate, but that only lasts a few seconds and disappears. Perhaps it needs something addressing with a bit of optimization, perhaps, but it doesn't happen terribly often, so it's not a major concern for things. The missions are kind of broken up into these sections like this, so you get the objective update, and then it'll heal you back to full, and you'll get a new thing. So we've got this judgment. This is causing a few issues in my frame rate, if I'm honest. There's a big, I guess there's another mech kind of thing, rather than like the turrets and stuff we were fighting in the last section. This is actually another mech, so it's cool to see one of those out and about. Good. So I got a bit of information on it in the background, but again, it's mostly forgettable stuff. And when you're busy fighting stuff, you don't want to be listening to exposition. This is much the same problem Titanfall had, which is that it gives you all the exposition whilst you're fighting stuff, and it's like, this is not the time you want to be listening to exposition. So I've no idea, kind of, anything of any of the useful information that they've given me about this particular craft that I'm fighting. It is doing some damage to my frame rate, even if not necessarily to me so much. Actually, it is doing some damage to me as well, to be quite honest. But if I boost it a bit more and actually use some decoys, I could probably deal with it a lot more efficiently. So you can lock onto targets with right click, as you can see. Hey, we're getting up pretty close and personal with it there. You can lock onto targets, and that will just basically, your camera will follow it until you right click to let go of it or destroy it. And then even if you do destroy it, it will tend to lock onto the next nearest enemy as well, which it basically takes over the controls that forward is now moved towards your target that you're locked onto rather than forward relative to the craft. So a little bit strange to get to grips with. Maybe veterans of flying mechs could probably get to grips with that a little easier than I can. I'm having trouble orienting myself a lot of the time just because it's, I don't know, it's so strange. Let's put some defensive stuff out, because I'm nearly dead here. I'm not really fighting it particularly effectively. Let's get the micro missiles out. Yeah, if you go out of range, it will unlock as well, so there's kind of a limit on how far away you can lock onto stuff. The railgun's got more range than the other stuff, so I think you can lock on stuff a little bit further away with the railgun. I'm not certain, mind you. I've not really tested the numbers on that. There is a little number just below each enemy that tells you exactly how far away it is, which I guess predominantly affects your accuracy on things. So if you're going at it with a chain gun, really you probably want to be going. If you're a fair way away, you want to be going at it with the railgun rather than the chain gun. The railgun's a little bit more accurate at long range. It's kind of a sniper weapon. I am so very nearly dead. I am dead. Good to know. Let's try that one again. So as I was saying about the difficulty, of course I then went and got myself killed on what I would have considered to be one of the easier levels. So that reflects well on me, I feel. As I say, I'm not a veteran of the mech genre, so I don't know. I don't know good mech strats, as it were. We've got a lot of health, mind you. Could probably send some funnels out. They could do some work for me. At the cost of some of my frame rate, apparently. Maybe I shouldn't be playing this on graphic card melt. Maybe I've not really looked into the specification on this game, so I don't really know how my computer stacks up against what they would recommend for this game.
It seems like
my computer, as I've said many a times, it was a good rig a couple of years ago. It's very much a mid-range rig at this point. It's probably due an upgrade. It does seem to be struggling with a lot more of the more graphically intense things these days, like this. So I am due to get something that would deal with these kind of games a little bit better, perhaps. So maybe I should turn things down. I don't know. Tell you what, just in the name of playability, I think I may well do that. You can do this on the fly in game, so that's always nice to see. Performance-wise, I've not noticed a whole heck of a lot of difference between medium and graphic card melt. They seem to all handle game reasonably the same, and then very low and low give you a significant performance upgrade over the two. So if I drop it down to low, everything will look not nearly quite so pretty. There's a lot less visual effects going on. And to be fair, actually, that's not even giving me quite as much a performance upgrade as I had expected. Seems like, in spite of the visual difference, the actual graphics options don't really change a lot performance-wise. It's a little bit strange. You would expect if you're going to have a whole range of options like that, there would be significant performance changes. Not so much. But there you go. Hopefully we can kill this thing before it kills me. No. There you go. Let's not do that one again. You've seen that one twice, so I don't think you need to see it a third time. We can take a look at the survival mode, though. Let's exit to menu. Survival mode is, as I say, it's exactly what you're going to expect it to be, mind you. There's a bunch of different crafts to play with, so if you don't want to play with the Mirai, there's a bunch of other ones that you can take a look at as well. They all have their different armaments and presumably different speeds and weights and armor and things. The Mirai is the one that you get in the campaign, the one that I've just been demonstrating, the one that has a whole huge armament. And the other ones seem to be considerably less powerful. There's something like the M1 Guardian is one I've tried out. That one literally only has a chain gun with 24, 25 rounds in it before reloading, and 2 micro missiles. When one compares that to the Mirai, which has the chain gun with 100 rounds in it and fires much faster than the M1. It also has 30 micro missiles. It's also got the railgun. It's also got it's got the funnels. It's got the smart missiles, and it's got the decoys as well, which the M1 just doesn't get. It's like maybe it's a difficulty option kind of thing. Maybe if you want to go for a bit of a challenge, you could do it with the M1 Guardian and have a much harder time of it than if you were to go with the Mirai. I'll take one of the different ones just to take a look at it. I've not used this one before, so I don't know quite what to expect from the circuit. We shall take the circuit. See what it's armed with. It's armed with 30 rounds and 24 micro missiles, so it's better than the M1 with the micro missiles. I don't know how effective its cannon's going to be. So it fires through them pretty quickly. It reloads extremely fast. I don't know, I still think the Mirai is by far the most powerful of all the craft that you can choose from everything I've seen so far. As you can see, it gets a bit disorienting, especially with drones and stuff, where you're just mowing through lots of them really quickly, and it keeps locking onto the next one. Your craft just sort of flips around really, really fast, and it's like, I have no idea which way I'm facing. But maybe that's just me. Maybe as I say, maybe I just need to get used to flying a mech. I'm not a mech pilot. I'm not well versed in the arts. on the whole, it's a pretty cool game. I do think it's one to keep an eye out on. As I say, there's not a whole heck of a lot of content out right now, but obviously there's plans to add a lot more in the future. They are aiming for a first or second quarter 2015 release with this. Obviously the 27 missions as opposed to just 7 that are in present, so another 20 missions to be added to the game, as well as potentially another survival mode and a sandbox mode I've seen mentioned on their press stuff. They've said they're going to try to add before launch as well. So extra game modes to be added. I have found, I don't know which key does it. It probably is, yeah, it's T. There's this chat menu at the bottom. You can chat. That seems like a feature that would be added into a multiplayer title. But I've not seen anything to imply that that is or might in the future be the case. I'm not seeing anything to suggest they want to add any multiplayer to this. At the same time, that chat is a multiplayer feature. It doesn't actually appear on the screen, mind you. Maybe that's just part of the engine or something, I'm not sure, but it seems odd that that would be in there without any plans for a multiplayer. It's a pure speculation on my part, mind you. I can't say, hey, this game will have multiplayer. I'm just saying, this game has a feature in it that one would typically expect to see in a multiplayer title, that's all I'm saying there. I don't really know what the crack is with that. But there's that. This, as I say, it will be out this on Wednesday, November 5th, and it will be available for Windows and Mac for $15, or your regional equivalents. I believe the price will be going up at launch, so if you want to get it in early on that one, but it's still on early access, you can get yourself a bit of a discount as well, so there's an advantage there as well. So that's cool. So again, if you're into mechs, perhaps you want to keep an eye out, but as I say, I don't have a whole lot of frame of reference to compare this to anything else, so I can't really say, hey, this game is better or worse, or about the same as any other game. I very much have to judge this in and of its own merits, to be honest. And I can say I'm kind of enjoying it. I may need to get to grips with how to play this kind of thing a lot better, but I don't say I'm disliking it. I think the difficulty is kind of a little bit off-putting for me, but perhaps someone who knows how to fly one of these things properly might have less trouble, to be honest. But there you go, this has been Project Nimbus. Thank you very much for watching. I've been Meroka. I'll see you next time.